let's say you put sunscreen on and you don't allow that to fully absorb, and then you moisturize or you put makeup on or do something like that, then now you cut that sunscreen kind of in half because the chemicals or whatever else is in there is now mixing in the particles of that sunscreen. Sunscreen is very specific. You gotta apply it a very specific way. You need to allow it to, it's just like baking. Think of it as like baking. All right, well, hello beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. And if you are new, welcome. And if you love this info, please subscribe. So today, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to apply and layer your sunscreens if you have several sunscreen products, and kind of clarify a little bit about sunscreen. For instance, like, is my sunscreen with moisturizer enough, or do I need to also apply another sunscreen? Or do I just apply a sunscreen? And so I'm gonna kind of do the best that I can to clarify some things, and also the application, especially if you're wearing makeup that has sunscreen. So the first thing to know is that your makeup should never be used, you should never rely on your makeup to be used as a sun protection, unless you're a person that absolutely does not go into the sun. But here's the issue. Doesn't matter what the sunscreen is, whether it's a chemical or a physical, you need to apply enough on your skin, like I showed you in my last video, which I'll leave a link to below in case you haven't seen that. So if you haven't applied enough sunscreen and then you think, oh, I just put my makeup on because it has SPF 30 in there, you're not applying tons and tons of makeup. You still would have to apply that sunscreen in a very thick manner in order to get the protection that you need. And most women that I know don't really do that. But you can layer products. And if you layer a product, one is 15, one is 30, the highest amount will always be the one that absorbs, or that's going to give you the biggest sun factor, but it doesn't double. So if you if you apply a 15 and then a 30, that doesn't mean you have 45 SPF protection on your skin. So what I recommend is that you apply your sunscreen, whatever that is. This is my favorite right now. I tested this for 1.5 years before I ever brought it to market on hundreds of clients and myself. And it's selling like crazy because it moisturizes. It's great for people that are very active and mature skinned, and just really gives you that protection that you know. So I'm gonna show you how to apply sunscreen in layers so that you get all the protection you need, and how I do it. So what I do is I apply a almond size amount of sunscreen all over my face like this. And I just rub it in. So if you're just applying a little bit like a cream, that's not enough. If it's a sunscreen with a moisturizer in there and you're applying 2 pea-sized amounts, no. You need to apply that moisturizer. You're getting enough sun protection. So if that creates a bad habit for you, then get in the habit of using a moisturizer, allowing that to soak in, and then using a sunscreen afterwards. But a lot of people I know with sunscreen moisturizers, they just put 2 pea-sized amounts on and they think they're getting the protection they need. They're not. You're not, okay? So you apply that all over to your skin like this, okay? And this has zinc, titanium, oxybenzoin in here. So it has enough broad spectrum UVA, UVB protection. Okay, apply that all over my neck, my ears, everything like this, okay? And my hairline, I get it really good in my hairline, all the way in the back of my hairline. All like that, okay? Now I'm gonna apply my tint. I use my tint every day. This is exactly what I do. People always at the pool, they're like, wow, your skin is so flawless. I apply 3 pumps of the tint. This will make the white of the sunscreen go down a little bit and even out my skin tone with redness and stuff. And it will also give me a little bit more of the zinc oxide, which is a 7%, which I really want because that's a physical block. So that will really help with just making sure that I'm getting all of the protection I need. The issue is you need to apply enough sunscreen all over to your face so that it's completely absorbing into every single crevice and pore, so that it's just an even coat and coverage all over. So then I apply my tinted moisturizer like this. So if you weren't using a tinted moisturizer but you were using a makeup, you apply the sunscreen first, allow that to completely absorb into your skin for 15 minutes. Then you apply your makeup on top of it. And that will give you an extra layering of sun protection just to be safe with probably different chemical sunscreens or physical blocks. just to be safe that you're getting every particle of your skin covered and saturated with enough sun protection. You are always getting sun rays, even with sunscreen on. Sunscreen does not absorb every particle of ultraviolet light. And also, if you're around any window in a living room, and there's always light coming through the windows or in your car, unless you have UVA and B filters on there. Some of them have UVB filters, like especially in cars, but not UVA. And UVA is the one that damages the dermis, which also causes the melanocytes to activate, which also causes the pigmentation to occur. So, as you can see, now I am completely protected with 2 sunscreens. You might think that's a little bit redundant, but one, it's to cast away the white. So that's a good tip, is to apply your sunscreen, let that soak in, and then apply either a tinted moisturizer or your makeup, just making sure that it's completely absorbed. Some people I know will now also apply a makeup over this even, and that's fine too. So you're getting even another layer. Layering sunscreen is a great idea, just because I think that it would just make sure that you're absolutely getting the protection that you need. If you guys have any questions about layering sunscreen, how much you need to be applying, feel free to ask them below this video, but please make sure you do yourself a favor. And regardless of whether it's a tinted moisturizer with sunscreen, regardless if it is a moisturizer with sunscreen, make sure either one of those that you're applying enough. It has to be enough that completely saturates and absorbs your skin, usually about an almond-sized amount, or you're not going to be really getting the protection that you need. And if you need to apply a moisturizer, let that soak in, and then apply sunscreen over that if you're just feeling like you can't apply that much moisturizer to your skin because you might break out. And then if you do wear makeup, make sure that you allow that sunscreen to completely absorb into your skin for 10 to 15 minutes, and then apply your makeup. And make sure when you apply your makeup that you're applying it either with a brush or your fingers, and that it's a pretty good amount, but try to move it into the sunscreen, so you're kind of more painting it onto the face instead of like rubbing it in, because if you rub it in, your makeup could start to absorb and mix the sunscreen or the tinted moisturizer or the tinted moisturizer with sunscreen, and then what will happen is you will minimize the chemicals in the makeup, could minimize, especially if the makeup does not have sunscreen, it could start to minimize the actual sunscreen or what you applied before the makeup. I hope that makes sense. Let's say you put sunscreen on and you don't allow that to fully absorb, and then you moisturize or you put makeup on or do something like that. Then now you cut that sunscreen kind of in half, because the chemicals or whatever else is in there is now mixing in the particles of that sunscreen. Sunscreen is very specific. You gotta apply it a very specific way. You need to allow it to, it's just like baking. Think of it as like baking. Baking, you have to be very specific with measurements, right? You can't just put enough, however much baking soda you want in there, right? Or too much water. It has to be very precise and specific. Same thing with sunscreen. This is the one area you really need to just be more consistent and know the truth and science of how sunscreen actually works. All right, I love you guys. If you have any questions about sunscreens or anything, application or how much to apply, when to apply, whatever, feel free to ask them below this video. Remember to subscribe if you love this information, and remember to always stay gorgeous, and I'll see you really soon in a new video. Bye-bye.